This is another great turnout. Welcome to another Pomona Placemaking workshop. My name is Kyle Brown. I'm a resident of the city, also a faculty member over at Cal Poly Pomona, and I've been one of the lead facilitators of this process. My colleague Bree Shea has been helping out, and Tom Shea has been providing logistics like computer support and whatnot, so thank you, Tom. But we're really pleased you all could be here today. How many of you, this is your first placemaking workshop? All right. So how many of you have been to both of the last two we've had? That's good. All right. So people coming back. That's great. That's great. Well, welcome. And I want to say a special note of thanks to our hosts, the Cao Universal Temple and Hom and Hom. Opportunity to say a couple of words about their community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very honored to have you coming here with us as a family and work for the good of the community. I would like to introduce our temple. Cao Dai is a new religion from Vietnam, believing that all religions have the same divine origin. And although this origin is called differently by different traditions. And Cao Dai teaches that all religions are one, teaching the same thing based on love and justice. Amen. Love is a true love, not without any personal interest. And justice is don't do to others what you don't want others to do to you. And those principles, you see the painting in front of the temple, showing love and justice, and this is an agreement between God and humanity. If all of us will perform love, true love and justice, we would have peace in the world, and all of us would be saved. And Cao Dai believe that all of us have a sparkle of the God Spirit in ourselves, which is called conscience. And conscience is the Spirit of God. And everyone can be unified with God in ourselves, can be finding God in ourselves if we calm down, get rid of the secular attachment, and we may find God in ourselves and return to God, unity with God. And everybody can do that. Right. We have the poster of different religions here. We embrace all religions, and we believe that all religions are one. And you can see the similarity of different religions in those posters. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your hospitality. So many of you discovered, of course, the food and the coffee and the juice over there. Please help yourselves throughout the day. And thank you to those of you that were able to bring and contribute to that. We really appreciate that. I believe restrooms are kind of around the corner to the back, and you'll see those back there. So help yourself at any time if you need those. This is kind of the agenda of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start out talking a little bit about placemaking. For those of you that have been at these workshops, some of that will be a little bit of review, but I'll also show some new things as well. And then we're going to have an opportunity to break up into groups based on projects that sort of have emerged so far. And so each of the tables will give a chance for them to say briefly about what their projects are working on. And for those of you that are new, you're welcome to join in on one of those projects if that really energizes you. But we're also going to have a seventh group working in the back room, working with Bree, for folks that want to brainstorm about new opportunities or new projects. That's something we always try to do, is try to energize some new projects each time. So you're welcome to participate in any way that you want. But we'll be taking about an hour to work in groups, and then we'll just come back together and briefly share back sort of progress that's made, and also provide an opportunity for people to share info about events and things that they have going on and coming up. So, all right? So one of the things that we've sort of used as a tagline for this project since the beginning is this question of what if we regenerated Pomona around places? And I'm part of the faculty at the Lyle Center for Regenerative Studies at Cal Poly Pomona, and so regeneration is a really important term to me. And when I talk about regeneration in this context and regenerating communities, I'm really talking about changing mindsets or transforming mindsets within communities towards ones that really focus on the future and really focus in an optimistic way about the future. And so we actually use this regenerative community model that says that communities are really going to build a lot of momentum for themselves in terms of positive momentum moving forward if it's broadly felt within the community that there's a sense of belonging, that people feel like others beyond just their immediate family members care about them and want what's best for them. And so that sense of belonging is really important to individuals within a regenerative community. In addition, a regenerative community is one where there's a strong sense of self-worth, where the community really feels that they're entitled to have really high quality things, really nice things that many other communities have, that they're really worthy of those kind of quality things, and that what they as individuals have to offer the community is valued, the gifts that they have, the talents that they have. The third is a strong sense of well-being, this idea that the community is generally supportive of healthy living. And so that gets at issues like making sure that you've got a clean environment, a healthy environment to live in. Also making sure that the environment supports a healthy lifestyle, opportunities for walking, bicycling, running, whatever it is that folks may want to do to stay healthy. And then the last component is this sense of possibility, this idea that whatever individuals within the community want to set out to achieve for themselves, or whatever the community would like to achieve for itself, begin to believe that that's really possible, and that they see that those opportunities exist for their children in this community, as well as for themselves within this community. And so that's really sort of the mindset that we believe is really fundamental towards a positive or strong sense of momentum within the community, a feeling that things are really improving within the community, and that efforts are really translating to substantive change that individuals can see in their daily lives. And we think that if we set those kind of conditions, then lots of pro-social, pro-environmental, lots of really positive community things can result from that kind of mindset. And so that's what we mean when we talk about regenerating Pomona around places. And one of the things that this group, the Project for Public Spaces, talks a lot about is the importance of place. Physical places, they argue, are as important today as they ever were. We certainly, spend a lot of time online and have a lot of virtual kind of connections that we associate with. But a lot of their research shows, that physical places play a really key role in bringing people together and building community and really supporting that kind of effort. And so, so that's why we focus on this idea of place. What are the ways in which, we want events to take place, we want activities to take place, but we want them to be rooted in place, rooted in neighborhoods, rooted in destinations within the community. So the Project for Public Spaces has done a lot of work into what it is that makes a great place. And really they've boiled it down to sort of 4 key ideas. They say that a successful or a great place is going to be accessible and well connected to other places. So things like transit connections, things like bike routes, things like sidewalks, these kind of things become really important in making sure that it's accessible and well connected. The second is that it's comfortable and projects a positive community image. People need to feel safe in that space. They need to feel like they can be there without any kind of concerns for their own personal safety, that it is really the kind of place that is a place of pride, that they would want to bring community or visitors from out of town to show them their community and so forth. And so that comfort and projecting a positive community image is also important. The third thing is that there's actually stuff to do there when you get to that place, that it attracts people to participate in activities. So it's not really about just creating a wonderful park with an opportunity for people to gather. It's like, how do you create purpose within that really prompts people to attend events or that's the place they go to play cards, or that's the place that they go to visit with their friends and so forth. And so thinking about those activities becomes really important. And then the fourth thing, which is actually pretty closely related to all of these things, it's a welcoming environment. That, again, that sense of belonging, that they feel like everyone's welcome there, and it's something that they definitely want to come back and visit again. And so they've actually created a little chart, which I think is pretty useful, where they have those four key attributes: that there's activities, that it's comfortable and promotes a positive image, that it has access and is well connected, and that it creates opportunities for interaction with each other. And then they've got qualities around each of these that describe these. So for example, under comfort and image, the words they have that describe them are safe, clean, green, walkable, sittable, spiritual, charming, attractive, historic. And so it doesn't mean that every space has to have all of those qualities, but those are examples of the qualities that sort of will help promote that comfort and image. And then up in sociability, they have things like diverse, stewardship, cooperative, neighborly, pride, friendly, interactive, and welcoming. And so really trying to sort of create opportunities where those characteristics can come to the forefront and really be part of the space. So that's useful to kind of think about. Now, oftentimes when people think about these kind of spaces, we start immediately thinking, well, what is it that the city can do? How can we provide, these kind of spaces? How can the city pay for these things? We expect our city to do these kind of things. And we know the reality is that cities often aren't able to do those kind of things to the extent that we would like them to do. And so Project for Public Spaces is big in thinking about community action. What can we as community members do to really create these kinds of opportunities for ourselves? And then, at some point down the road, there might be opportunities for partnerships with cities or other kind of funding agencies and so forth to take place. But they have a model that they really promote that's called lighter, cheaper, and quicker placemaking. And the idea there is that the assumption is that expensive or labor-intensive initiatives are often not the most effective way to bring about energy and life into community places. And it says that they really think that if communities focus on things that are light, quick, and cheap, that these describe simple, short-term, low-cost solutions that potentially have an impact on the shaping of neighborhoods and cities. So these can include things like seasonal or one-time kind of events, kind of gatherings at a place that begins to sort of have people begin to associate that place and recognize that place with community. They could be community-driven ideas adopted by leaders from the community, so key individuals taking on the opportunity to create these kinds of spaces within public spaces within their community. It could include partnerships with local business owners. So if there's a local business that might have an opportunity to become a destination or a place within a neighborhood, working with those kind of local business owners or property owners to take advantage of that opportunity of that vacant lot or that convenience store, which maybe isn't quite offering all of the services one would like. And then finally, really, ultimately, it's kind of what you all are doing here right now. Volunteerism, right? You all are showing up. I don't think is anybody getting paid today to show up here? So this volunteerism and advocacy, the process of working towards placemaking is as important, if not more important, than the actual place that you end up making, right? It's like the friendships that you develop here, the connections that you develop here. And so I would really challenge you all as you get in groups today to think about this lighter, cheaper, quicker model. Some of you are working on some pretty ambitious projects, and some of you have made some real progress on these projects already. But one of the things I'd encourage you to think about is what are the ways we might begin to draw attention to this project in a lighter, cheaper, quicker way sooner rather than waiting until it can ultimately be developed in the final form that we're envisioning. So that'd be one of the challenges I'll pose to you today. I'm going to show you a few examples. Some of them are from our community here because there's a lot of things going on in Pomona that I'm sure a lot of you are aware of. And then I'll show you some examples from just a couple of other communities to get you thinking about it. So, how many of you participated last week in the Pomona 5K, the inaugural 5K? A number of you did, right? So we had, I think there were something like 750 people that participated in this event, downtown Pomona last Saturday, put together by We Run Pomona. Is anybody from We Run Pomona here today? They've been at some of the placemaking workshops before, but I haven't seen them, so I don't think they're here today. But they did a great job of putting this event together and to bring the community together to really celebrate downtown. The run took you throughout all the streets of downtown and really connect with that. Those kind of things are great opportunities. And it's an event, but it's rooted in place. It's really about downtown and that kind of situation. So those kind of events are really terrific kinds of opportunities. And of course, we have many others of these, the historic home tours that's coming up, and many of these that have been going on for years within the city. And we definitely want to celebrate those, and there might be opportunities to create additional ones that begin to emerge. And they could be on a citywide level, such as this, or they could be very neighborhood-focused or very neighborhood-based. We have another one that's been part of this group, the Dia de los Muertos celebration that's taking place at the public library, and the South Pomona group has been a group that's been working on that. Nora's been kind of spearheading that effort. Do you want to say a couple words about the event that's coming up?
Hi everyone. So I just really want to say that this has been a real community effort. We had some issues with the city, and when it came to light that we really couldn't do what we wanted, we kind of got together and reorganized, and I probably bothered my group with several group emails. And basically we got together with the Friends of the Pomona Public Library, the library staff, and myself, representing the placemaking, and as well as Councilwoman Christina Carasosa, who was generous enough to grant us some funds. And we were able to create an altar. Thanks to Margaret from the DAW, who was here at our last placemaking place. She put us in contact with a dance group. So on Wednesday, November 1st, starting at 3 o'clock, there's going to be a special story time for the kids explaining what Dia de los Muertos is with a picture book. At 3:30, they're going to do paper flower arts and crafts for the kids so that they could decorate the altar around them. At 4 o'clock-ish, we're going to have the dancers show up and do a brief presentation. They're not Aztec dancers, but they are traditional folklorical dancers. And then at about 4:30 to about 6, we're hoping something like that, the Friends of the Pomona Public Library are going to host a popcorn and movie night showing the Book of Life, which is a Day of the Dead movie. And that's all going to take place in one afternoon in the Pomona Public Library. I do have flyers here, if you guys want to spread them out. Yes, you can. Sure.
There's a set of flyers right to the right of food, so after you get coffee and food, you can also get a flyer. So
you got it. I will place them right over there. And I just want to say that throughout this experience, one thing that I learned, that I figured out was, we don't just need to change how we perceive our city or how outsiders perceive the city. We really have to make sure that everyone involved with the city, from staff to council members to representatives to megaphones or loudspeakers like myself, we all really need to see the possibilities of Pomona. We can't just say, well, if you do this, then this might happen, and do we really want that? I'm like, if that happens, yes, because then people will be outraged and go, not in my city. We worked hard on that. Let's figure it out. So thank you so much. Thank you to Kyle. Thank you to everyone. I appreciate it. I'm not going to be able to be here for the rest, but I know that we have so many projects we want for Pomona. I think Claudia wanted a study session or some kind of study group in South Pomona. I know that Uvia wanted a meditation or a drum circle at Washington Park or something like that. And all this other stuff that we're trying to do. And as we said last time, South Pomona is large. South Pomona should really be 3 or 4 different little districts. Yeah. But we're doing what we can with what we have, and thank you for helping us get there. So
we see some, real direct examples from this group where we're seeing these lighter, cheaper, quicker kind of models emerge. This was something that was really pulled together since the last placemaking workshop about 5-6 weeks ago. You got a little bit of funding. How did you get funding to kind of support materials?
So the Friends will be paying for the popcorn and the movie license. The library will be paying, the Friends are also bought the book, but that's not important. It is, but it's not. The library provided us the space, and Christina Carsosa provided us the funds to actually get the fabric, the candles, the little arts and crafts to put the altar together. And I just emailed my council person. I'm like, hi, we're trying to do this. We're working with a very limited budget. Can I just have just a small little slice? I just asked her for a couple of $100. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't even use half of what she gave me. She gave me $300, and I think I used $350. Maybe I'll use more if we need to buy Pan de Muerto, but that's about it.
Yeah. So looking at those local partnerships and trying to take advantage of that. Thank you, Nora. So those are a couple of examples of these kind of lighter, cheaper, quicker ideas we have going on in our community already. Some of these events that we have. I'm going to show you a couple of examples from some other places just to get your mind thinking and the wheels turning a little bit, and encourage you to be creative as you think about opportunities. So there's a community in Maryland outside of Washington, D.C., Silver Spring, Maryland, which is a suburb, a relatively affluent suburb in Maryland. They had a vacant lot near one of their commercial areas that was slated for redevelopment. So there was going to be a project that was going to be going in there, but as we often know, the wheels of redevelopment sometimes turn slowly, and so that property sat there for a while as a vacant kind of opportunity. And one of the things that happened, and I actually don't know whether this was city initiated or community initiated, but one of the things that ultimately happened was, in the interim, while they were working on that redevelopment process, they went out on that vacant lot, which was a dust field like you've seen lots of vacant lots, and they put synthetic turf over it. Okay? In a very temporary way, brought synthetic turf over it, and immediately they began to see kids kicking soccer balls around and frisbees being thrown and creating that kind of opportunity with relatively minimal kind of investment in this space. And what was interesting was this space became so popular, according to local lore anyway, this place became so popular that when time came to redevelop it into what was going to be another public space, a public plaza, a group organized and said, no, we want to keep it as turf, and began to sort of advocate for this idea of keeping it as this kind of open play field. And I did find one picture off the web that shows this place, in terms of some of the activities that were going on there. And so this was when it was that kind of space. And unfortunately, the quality of the image isn't that great. But I've also seen photos of the plaza that's there now. I have not been there, but none of the photos show it nearly as active as the photos that I found online in terms of what it was as just this kind of temporary opportunity. We sometimes describe these as pop-up places, these kind of pop-up opportunities that aren't intended to be long-term kinds of things, but they sort of build energy and momentum, and people begin to talk about that as a destination that they go to spend time with their friends and so forth. So that's one example of taking advantage of those kind of opportunity spots that we find located throughout all of our communities. All communities have those kinds of opportunities. Another example comes from Argentina, and the